For the best experience, use headphones.
The Haunting of the Abandoned House. I don't remember much from my childhood, mostly just short, insignificant snapshots of playing Call of Duty or walking to school and back. I lived in a decent-sized city, but the area I was from was quite safe. But there's one thing I remember, something I wish I had forgotten, but has never left my mind since, and will always stay. I think I was 10 years old. Maybe I'm not for sure, though. But anyways, I had this one really good friend. He was my best friend, but I wasn't his. His name was Hunter, and I met him in the first or second grade when making friends was easy. It was the first day of school. We were in line to go home. We had just gotten done making Play-Doh, and I remember he had struggled quite a bit. I sat at the table next to him, and I could overhear him saying all the potty words, like crap and fart. I talked with him for a bit about our favorite movies and such. We both liked Star Wars and Jurassic Park. His favorite dinosaur was the Velociraptor, and mine was the T-Rex, of course. The teacher said it was clean-up time, and everyone quickly rushed to the door, leaving me in the back with Hunter. Hunter looked at me and then asked, "Do you want to be friends?" I looked back at him and said, "Yeah, let's be best friends." A smile grew on his face, and he looked at me with joy in his eyes. "Hey, do you want to play at recess tomorrow?" I looked around and said, yeah, sure." The bell rung after a few more ramblings of dinosaurs and our favorite Clone Wars characters. I got home, talked to my mom about my day, and went over to the TV to play Call of Duty World at War. I was excited to go to school the next day so I could see my new friend, but it wasn't until I had woken up extra early in the morning that my mom told me it was a Saturday and reminded me that I had another day to go before school. Monday came, and I waited out front of the school for Hunter to show up. A gray van drove up, and Hunter got out, hugged his mom, and ran over to me. "Hey, sorry I told you see you tomorrow, even though it was a Saturday." Hunter embarrassingly laughed, and I said, "It's okay. My mom told me it was a Saturday after I woke up extra early." We both shared a laugh and walked into the school. That at lunch we had decided to sit together with a couple other kids from out class. "So what's your name?" I asked, looking at Hunter. One of the other kids on the table answered and said his name. "No, I'm talking to my friend," I said to the kid. "So I'm not your friend?" the kid replied, looking a bit confused. "I don't know you," I chuckled, and he looked embarrassed. "Hunter, my name's Hunter, and you?" Hunter had finally responded to my question, and I looked back towards him and said, "My name's Isaiah. Also, what's your name again? I forgot." "Hunter." "No, not you, the other one." The three have shared a laugh, and the kid said, "My name is David. You see that girl on the other table, the real pretty one?" "Yeah," I responded. "Yeah, I forgot her name, but that's my girlfriend." "How long have you two been together?" asked Hunter, looking a little confused. David smiled, a look of pride on his face. "Since this morning." The whole table was in awe. Hunter stood up and asked if we wanted to go to recess, and we all said yes. Me, David, and Hunter all went to go hang out on the playground before David said something that I can never forget. "Have you guys heard of the old man down the street?" David smirked, and then said, "One of the older kids told me a story." I looked at him confused, but also intrigued. "Well, what kind of story?" I asked. David looked at me and Hunter and said, "So you don't know about the abandoned house? It's just a few houses down the crosswalk by the really big tree next to the kindergarten playground." "Well, let me tell you, there used to be an old man there, but now it's abandoned. The reason is because a kid was murdered on the sidewalk." "What the heck are you talking about?" Hunter said with a sense of fear in his voice. "Yeah, they say the old man killed a kid after stepping on his lawn. He used to take pictures of all the kids that walked by and would sit on his porch to yell at anyone that walked on his yard. One day he had enough, so he killed a kid. If you look at the sidewalk and the grass hard enough, you can still see the blood." Hunter was absolutely mortified by this, but I was interested, real interested. "You should show us where it is," I said to David. "Well, what way do you walk?" I looked at the school and pointed to my left. "That's the same way I walk. I can show you after school. What about you, Hunter?" "My aunt picks me up." Hunter had this look of sadness, and I always thought it was because he was just new to the town. It wasn't until a year later I find out his mom had died from cancer, and he never knew his dad. He moved to live with his aunt and uncle. I wish I had been nicer. I wish I had been a better friend than I was. I mean, we were just kids after all, but still, it's all my fault. "Well, maybe ask your mom to hang out with us," David said. Hunter looked at the ground and said, "I'll ask. I have to the bathroom." Hunter got up and ran into the school. The bell rung before Hunter had gotten back, and me and David waited on the playground for him. That was a stupid decision because neither of us realized that Hunter could hear the bell from inside the building, and after about 10 minuets of waiting, we went to class. We got lost for a bit and wandered the halls. I vividly remember a kid screaming in the bathroom while a teacher waited by the door. "Excuse me, ma'am," I looked at the lady and she said, "What is it, kid?" "Do you know where Mrs. Reed's room is?" "The one with the pink sign on it, just down the hall." Me and David ran back to the class and walked in hoping no one would notice us. The teacher then yelled at us asking where we were. We explained that we were waiting for our friend, but he never came back. Hunter stood up from his seat and started to run towards us, only to be almost immediately turned around by the teacher. "Well, I'm glad you two boys came back. Now go get scissors and glue and go to your seats. I'll bring you some papers to cut out in color." We walked back to our seats, and I didn't talk to either of them until cleanup. Hunter called his aunt on the class phone asking if he could walk home with us. Once he got off the phone, he walked over to me and David with a sad look on his face. She said no. "Oh, okay. Well, that's all right. We have all year." I gave him words of comfort. He laughed and smiled, and the second the bell rang, me and David ran out the doors and down the halls. We walked down the street I normally took and past the crosswalk where I turned right. We walked for a little bit and talked about Halo and Xbox and how cool it was when David stopped and pointed out an old-looking house. "That's the house?" I asked. "Yeah." "So where's the blood?" I asked, feeling disappointed. "Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask the 5th graders." "Oh, okay. Well, where are the 5th graders?" "Well, I don't know." I sighed and looked back at the house. Most of the windows were broken and boarded up, and the lawn was wildly overgrown and covered with weeds. So this is where the old man lived? Yep. Where is he now? No one knows. Want to come over to my house and play Fallout 3, I asked. I don't think I can today, but if you want, I can get my mom's phone number and we can plan something another day. Sure, that should work. See you tomorrow. We said our goodbyes and walked our separate ways. Over the course of the next few weeks, nothing important really happened, but one day I was hanging out on the playground with Hunter and a girl came over to me. "You're David's friend, right?" "Yeah, what you want?" "Well, tell David that Caitlin is breaking up with him and Jacoby thinks you're cute." She turned around and walked back to her friends sitting in a circle in the field. When David got back, I broke the news to him and then I turned around to go talk to my future wife. I dragged Hunter with me for emotional support and I asked, "Which one of you is Jacoby?" "Oh, she's not with us, the one sitting alone by the lunchroom, see." She pointed to the bench by the lunchroom door and I grabbed Hunter's arm and we walked over. "Hey, is your name Jacoby?" Yeah. Yeah, I'm like super brave, right, Hunter?" "Shut up, you cried during the 6th sin." No, I didn't. You did remember." I nudged Hunter and winked at him. "Yeah, I did." Hunter sighed and stared at the ground. "Yeah, so anyways, I went to the old man house." Jacoby looked shocked and then said, "Did you step on the grass?" Yeah, is that a problem?" I asked. "Yeah, duh. That's the whole thing about the story, is the old man and kid haunt the house and you step on the grass, you die." "Oh, shiz," I said. I got really scared all of a sudden. I tried to think something up, so I just said, "Well, I'm just that brave." Then stupid, Jacoby looked at me annoyed for some reason. Then she said, "I don't like you anymore, so stop being creepy." Hunter laughed and walked back towards David. I went to the bathroom and cried for a bit until I came out a new man. The year went on and not much happened. I had David and Hunter over to my house almost every day after school, and every Saturday we had a late night together. It was on one of those Saturday nights that I had the bright idea to visit the house. Hunter was opposed to the idea because he wasn't allowed to. Me and David both knew he was lying and that he was probably just sad his dog died, so we did what any good friend would to and told him he needed to come or we would force him to. Hunter mumbled and got up off the couch. My mom was asleep, so as long as we were quiet, we could sneak out. Hunter and David's parents wouldn't pick up until 12 and it was 10, so we would have time as the house was basically just down the street. I grabbed my Star Wars themed flashlights I had gotten for my birthday and we snuck out. It was cold that night, late November. We walked down the quiet, dark streets and made it to the house. It looked scary this time, like really scary. I waded through the tall grass and thick weeds and walked up to the front door. "Twist the handle," David whispered. I reached for the doorknob and slowly twisted it. I gave it a light push and the door slowly swung open. "Oh my God, you guys, it's unlocked. Come up here," I said, looking back. We walked inside, stepping on the squeaking floors. It was dusty and empty. "Definitely abandoned," I said quietly with a hint of fear in my voice. We explored the house, and then Hunter found the stairs to the basement. "I'm not going down there," Hunter said, his voice trembling with fear. "Well, I am, but I'm not going alone, David. You come with me, Hunter. You stay up here and watch, okay?" "Oh, okay." We started the descent down the stairs, each step scarier than the last. We were at the basement. There was a door at the bottom of the stairs, and I told David to open this one because I opened the last. He reluctantly agreed and twisted the knob and opened the door. I shined my flashlight into the room to see a wall full of masks. They were plastic and made to resemble the face of a woman. They had stiff smiles and eyes that seemed to stare right into your soul. They all had different colored wigs attached to them, and some looked to be made out of a more flexible rubber. "What the hell?" I said. "Fuck this, I'm out," David said. "No, don't leave me here." "Too bad, I want to go home." "No, we can't just leave Cayman, let's check this out." "Okay, fine, but we need to make this quick." David was horrified, and so was I. I felt sick, like I was going to pass out and throw up. But this little voice inside of me told me to keep looking to it. Next to the wall, there was a box labeled unfinished and another labeled wigs. Next to the boxes was a table, and on that table was a mask. It looked familiar. I walked over to inspect it and saw that it looked like it was supposed to be young. I thought it looked like Caitlin. I picked up the mask to inspect, but underneath it was a Polaroid picture. It was of Caitlin walking home from school. "Isaiah!" David yelled. I turned around to see David pointing his flashlight at a bunch of mannequins all standing lined up next to each other. The mannequins varied in size. Some were tall, some male, some female, but the most disturbing ones were the child-sized ones. They all had masks, the same plastic smile and soulless eyes masks. David started crying. "I think we can go now, David." David was speechless. He just turned around and ran up the stairs. I followed behind and we left the house. Hunter asked why David was crying and what we found, but I just told him we'd tell him when we got home. We sprinted down the streets to my house. As we got to my house, the lights had been turned on. "We're screwed," cried Hunter. I didn't care about trouble, I just wanted to be home. I opened the door and saw my mom standing at the table. She wasn't mad and thought we had just gone to the park for a bit, but I just ran towards her to hug her. David said he wanted to be picked up, and Hunter said he wanted to leave too. The next day, I told my mom everything, and she called the cops. I told them about the masks, the pictures, and everything. They said we were breaking and entering, but because it sounded suspicious, they could go check out the house. They gave me a warning and headed off. They said that the house was empty and nothing was in the basement. I knew something was up. I needed to go back and see for myself, and I needed to bring a camera just in case things were the same. David was no longer allowed to hang out with us, and he stopped talking to me at school. But Hunter, well, he was just as curious as me now. He wanted to prove it was empty. He wanted to back with me to see that nothing's wrong. So one day I grabbed my mom's video camera and brought it to school. After school, we went straight to the house. I walked up and the door was still unlocked. I walked down the hall to the stairs and stood at the top. I looked at Hunter and gave him the camera. I pulled out my flashlight and we walked down the stairs. When I made to the bottom, I saw that the door was already open. I walked into the room to see it was empty. "I told you, now let's go home. My uncle is going to get pizza for us." I had moved the flashlight to the other side of the room to see the mannequins. They both had masks, male masks, child masks. They had short black hair wigs on. "Oh my God." "What?" "Come see this." I noticed something reflecting the light off of it. I walked towards the mannequins and looked closely at the shiny thing. It was a photograph. It was of me and Hunter walking to school this morning. It was taken in front of my house.